composed in 1956 by Chuck Berry. The song has its beginnings in the bars and clubs of East St. Louis, where in the mid-1950s, Berry and pianist Johnny Johnson played an eclectic musical mix of white country, black rhythm and blues, and pop standards for the rough and rowdy crowds. To that repertoire, Johnson had contributed a piano instrumental, Johnny's Boogie, his interpretation of Meade Lux Lewis's Honky Tonk Train Blues, which sounds a little bit like this. That's Honky Tonk Train Blues, originally recorded by Lewis for Paramount Records earlier the Harrod's Jubilee Singers recorded on Paramount as well, and later for Victor in 1947. Typical of boogie woogie piano pieces, both Johnny's Boogie and Honky Tonk Train Blues feature a bouncing, undulating left-hand bass line. Johnson called it his choppin' bass, which when sped up creates an insistent driving rhythm that Berry easily adapted to guitar. But if Johnson's left hand laid the foundations, it was Berry's pen and guitar that built Roll Over Beethoven. Though Berry and Johnson were later to disagree over whether Johnson helped with the melody, there is no dispute that with Johnson working alongside in the basement of Chuck's tiny 3-bedroom cottage at 3137 Whittier Avenue, in the heart of the black middle-class St. Louis neighborhood known as the Ville, Chuck Berry paired his lyrics and guitar with Johnson's choppin' left-hand bass and treble right. A melody developed and the song was formed. On the surface, like many Chuck Berry compositions that were to come, Roll Over Beethoven is an anthem to rock and roll music, which by 1956, and the year of the song's release, was sweeping the nation. But like so many Berry songs, the lyrics run much deeper than simply celebrating teenage life. They begin with the line, "Gonna write a little letter, gonna mail it to my local DJ," a nod to disc jockeys across the nation who were so instrumental in the rise of rock and roll. But it is likely that Chuck had one specific DJ in mind, Alan Freed. It was Freed who had paved the way for rock and roll by popularizing black rhythm and blues for the growing audience of white listeners tuning into his Moondog radio program on WJW in Cleveland in the early 1950s. It was Freed who helped launch Berry's career in August of 1955 by playing Maybelline on WINS, the New York radio station, making the single an enormous national hit and its singer a sensation almost overnight. The second and third verses are full of the concise economic language that is the hallmark of the best Chuck Berry compositions. Using the metaphor of a contagious illness to describe the way rock and roll was infecting the country, Berry peppers the verses with such memorable phrases as, "I got the rockin' pneumonia, I need a shot of rhythm and blues. Woo. I caught the rollin' arthritis, sitting down at the rhythm review." The lines are delivered with a crisp syncopation that perfectly matches the urgency of the driving musical accompaniment. Interestingly, the song lacks a chorus, but one line, "Roll Over Beethoven," is repeated in each verse along with an accompanying line, "And tell Tchaikovsky the news," in two of them. The meaning is unmistakable. The hedonism and exuberance of rock and roll music is overtaking the old established order, symbolized by the classical composers and their sophisticated symphonic creations. But as Berry revealed in his 1986 autobiography, the lines were also a playful dig at his classically trained sisters, mezzo-soprano Lucy and pianist Thelma, who would routinely banish their younger brother from the family piano in order to further their own musical ambitions. The lyrics in verses 4 and 6 depict teenagers dancing to the music on a jukebox that is blowing a fuse. Though they describe a scene that would mostly be of interest to a teenage audience, once again, the rhythmic delivery and clever alliteration set the words apart from the more pedestrian teenage fare of the day. But there are two more lines in the song that are worthy of mention. "Early in the morning," Berry begins the fifth verse, "I'm a-giving you a warning, don't you step on my blue suede shoes." The lines manage to reference two songs that not only reveal one of Chuck's significant influences, but also seek to illustrate his songwriting savvy. In the first line, he makes direct reference to "Early in the Morning," a 1947 hit for Louis Jordan and his Timpani Five. And that sounds a little bit like this. Early in the morning I can't do right. I had a little fight with my baby last night, and it's early in the morning. Yeah, I tell you, it's early in the morning. Early in the morning, I ain't got nothing but the blues. And that was later covered by Harry Nilsson. Jordan's influence on Chuck's songwriting, especially in the way Chuck used Jordan's humor and narrative structure in his own lyrics, is incalculable. The second line references the 1955 Carl Perkins rockabilly classic, Blue Suede Shoes, and it went on to be an enormous hit for Elvis Presley, who also performed it on 2 groundbreaking national television appearances in March and April of 1956. In the 1986 documentary Chuck Berry, Hail, Hail, Rock and Roll, Chuck outlined the origins of Roll Over Beethoven and his music in general. Put a little Carl Hogan, a little T-Bone Walker, and a little Charlie Christian together, he told director Taylor Hackford, and look what a span of people that you will please. And making it simple is another important factor in being able to play my music. If you can call it my music, ain't nothing new under the sun. Such comments are not false humility. They are an explicit understanding that creativity involves taking disparate existing elements and fusing them into a new combination, forming a unique work of art that is greater than the sum of its parts. Merge a 1920s boogie-woogie beat, 1940s rhythm and blues guitar styles, and 1950s teenage pop lyricism, and you have Roll Over Beethoven, Chuck Berry's music in its quintessential form, and a roadmap for the rock revolution that was to come. Hope you enjoy this performance. Well, I'ma write a little letter, gonna mail it to my local DJ. Yeah, it's a job, a little record, I want my jockey to play. Roll over Beethoven, I gotta hear it again today. You know my temperature's rising, the jukebox is blowing a fuse. My heart's beating the rhythm and my soul keeps singing the blues. Roll over Beethoven, tell Tchaikovsky the news. I got the rockin' pneumonia, I need a shot of rhythm and blues. I got the rolling arthritis, sitting down at a rhythm review. Roll over Beethoven, they're rocking it 2 by 2. But if you're feeling like it, go get your lover, then a reel and a rock it. Roll it over, then a move on up, just a travel further, then a reel and a rock with one another. Roll over Beethoven, dig these rhythm and blues. I'm giving you a woman, look a step on my blue suede shoes. Hey, diddle diddle, I'ma play my fiddle, I ain't got nothing to lose. Roll over Beethoven and tell Tchaikovsky the news. You know she wiggle like a globe and dance like a spinning top. She got a crazy wind, you ought to see him reel and rock. As long as she got